Right before you get drafted, you get $1 million for an endorsement deal.
I spend it in one day.
How'd you do it?
There are few personalities in sports as great as Shaq. Seriously, the guy has been out of the NBA for years in terms of playing in it, and he is still one of the most talked about guys around because he's an announcer, businessman, and all-around fun guy. But what you might forget at times is there's a lot about Shaq that is unsaid by him and by others. So, allow us to show you 9 things you didn't know about Shaquille O'Neal. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Do you want to win any of these items on your screen? If so, be sure to watch the whole video, leave a like, and comment the hidden message. And with that being said, let's get right into the video.
Number 9. He helped create a rule about shattering backboards. NBA rules are added a bit more than you might think, and one of them was honestly put upon the league because of Shaq. You see, we all know that Shaq is a monster dunker, but during the 1993 season when he was with the Orlando Magic, he went and decided to do a dunk so powerful that it actually brought down the backboard. Yeah, that happened. Adding that to another player in that same season who cracked the backboard, and the NBA decided to go and reinforce them like no one's business, as well as add a rule that should you damage the backboard, you'll get fined for it, which might seem a bit mean at first, but they're honestly trying to go and protect the players. And while dunking is fine, you can do it without damaging things. And sure enough, after that point, Shaq never broke another backboard that we know of. Number 8. He got to invest in Google. Yes, this really happened. Check it out. He was in a hotel in Vegas when he was interacting with some kids that were nearby, and their father came up to him and noted how good he was with the kids. He knew Shaq was rich, so he got an investment opportunity. That opportunity? To invest in Google. The guy pitched him on the very real future that was coming, in that smartphones would become search engines and more, and that he would be wise to invest. Now, it's a bit tricky to say how much he invested in Google, but knowing Shaq and the fact that he has both money and a business manager, it's fair to say that he would have invested more than most. By his own admission, a few years later, he got a big return on his investment, which he wouldn't have said if it was only a few $1,000s in return, you know? Pretty much all of us would have loved to invest it in Google back then. Number 7. His relationship with his father. You'd think that given the success and ability that Shaq has had in his life, that his family would be infinitely proud of him from start to finish, and were always there for him. It wasn't that simple, unfortunately. While his mother was always around him, his father was not. In fact, his biological father went to federal prison, and he was raised by his stepfather a lot more, as he was in his life since Shaq was 2. For much of his childhood, he tried to connect with his father but never really got far. Only after he got successful did his father reach out during his tenure with the Orlando Magic, but Shaq had no interest in seeing him. However, in 2016, realizing that it was time to make amends, he did agree to meet his father, who was 70 at the time. "I don't hate you," Shaq told him. "I had a good life. I had Phil." That says a lot about Shaq, because we all see him as the fun-loving, joking guy. But he honestly is an emotional man and a realist. And he can hold his head up high knowing that he was the bigger man and met with his father before it was too late. Because as recent events have shown, he is an emotional guy who regrets not making up with people, and thankfully, he won't have to say that about his father. Number 6. One incident almost ruined his basketball career. Another thing that you might assume about Shaq is that when it comes to his life, his drill sergeant of a father, you'd expect him to never make a bad decision. But as he revealed once in an interview after his playing days were over, he had one incident that literally was a fork in the road. If he did it, his life wouldn't have been the same, and he knew that on the day that it happened. In short, he and his friend were on the street, and his friend said they should go boost a car. Shaq said no, but the friend went anyways. Not long after he boosted that car, his friend got arrested. Had this happened to Shaq, his basketball career would have been over due to his record. And that literally kept him on the straight and narrow throughout his career. That's why he only got in trouble for certain fun-loving incidents and his rivalry with Kobe, but nothing like drugs, alcohol, and the like. This is something that gets lost in NBA stories because we think about the greatness of Shaq and how he was destined for greatness, but destiny has moments like these that could change things forever. Number 5, he almost went broke in his rookie year. This is a classic Shaq story. One time, he had signed a trading card deal with a company that netted him $1 million. This happened in his rookie year, and as a result, he had a lot of money to spend and a mindset of wanting to get something really cool. Thus, he went and bought himself a very expensive Bentley. But then, his stepdad said he wanted one, so Shaq bought him one. Then his mom wanted one, so he got her one too. That's when reality hit, because even though he got $1 million, once he gave his cut to his agent, taxes, and other fees, he basically went broke after getting those 3 cars. Oops. To make sure this didn't happen again, he went and got himself a business manager and made sure this would never happen again. And it didn't. He honestly only has access to about 25% of his earnings right now because he doesn't want to touch the rest, showing that he really does learn from his mistakes. Number 4, his height at 10. One of the reasons that Shaq was so dominant in the NBA was because of his 7'1" frame and his ability to go and just dominate in the paint and slam the ball on anyone he wanted. But while many big men get growth spurts in their teen years, Shaq was already huge at 10 years old. In fact, he was 6'4" when he was just 10. Think about that. There are college kids who aren't that height. In fact, he was so huge at 10, during a basketball game at his high school, a rival dad thought so strongly that they were lying about Shaq's age that he pulled his own son off the court, shouting that they were lying the whole time. If you were a parent and you saw Shaq's height at that age, we bet you would have had a similar reaction. Number 3, SEC dominance. Most people forget that the reason Shaq was so sought after by the Orlando Magic when he entered the draft was because of how dominant he was in his time in LSU. During his second collegiate season at LSU, he became the first player to ever lead the SEC in scoring, 27.6 points per game, rebounds, 14.7, field goal percentage, 62.8%, and blocked shots, 140 on the year. No one was ready for him in his dominance, not even the other best players in the league. He was just on another level. It was this dominance that made him the must-have first pick in the draft, where he was selected by the Orlando Magic. But he almost had another experience before then. Number 2, he was almost on the dream team. In 1992, the Olympics were coming, and the teams behind the basketball program were tired of losing. They wanted to ensure American dominance, and thus, they brought forth the NBA players at the time to make a quote-unquote dream team, headed up, of course, by Michael Jordan. However, as most know, to honor the teams of the past, which were all college students, one college player was brought on. That was the infamous Christian Laettner. However, it was honestly almost Shaq. He was a dominant force that could have been on the team, but Laettner was seen as a better player to work with the dream team due to different standards of play in the Olympics. How did Shaq take that? How would he say this? "I was pissed off," he recalls 20 years later. "I was jealous. But then I had to come to the realization that I was a more explosive, more powerful player. But Christian Laettner was a little bit more fundamentally sound than I was." He would go on to get his own gold though at the 1996 Olympics, so it all ended well. Number 1, he was in Static Shock. During Shaq's prime, he had a lot of association with DC Comics and Warner Brothers, for better or worse. We won't mention Steel, but one really epic collaboration that happened was him appearing as himself in the beloved cartoon Static Shock. No, really. In fact, they had him both in the cartoon and in the commercials for Kids Warner Brothers, in his real form, having fun with Static in his animated form, and calling himself Static Shaq. As for the cartoon, he played a huge role for both Static and his alter ego in Virgil Hawkins, and it was an episode that helped prove how important the show was at the time. So, what did you think? What did you think of this look at Shaq and the things about his life that you honestly might not have known about? Which of these things did you find the most interesting or impressive? Which ones do you feel are perfectly Shaq? Do you have a little known fact about him that could be on this list? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.
A simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's really your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. Go for it.